Tappei has just released Arc 7 Chapter 37, and this will be a summary of the chapter. I highly recommend you check out my Chapter 36 summary. Let's begin. The Red Castle stood at the center of the city of Chaos Flame. Is made up of alternating red and blue pieces of scaffolding and different materials. The castle in itself is unique. The castle's foundation is made from lapis lazuli, a stone which emanates a blue color. However, this was then surrounded by a crimson red, almost like the color red represents blood and the blue color represents water. This castle was owned and occupied by Yorna, one of the 9 divine generals. We cut back to Subaru, who is sweating after noticing a man who looks like Abel. Subaru muttered to himself that the Abel there must be a fake who's disguising himself as the Emperor. We see that Subaru was made aware in advance that there may be someone who looks like Abel, thus Subaru kind of expected it, but he was also slightly surprised. Medium calls out to Abel, but Al grabs her from behind and stops her before she can make contact with Abel. We see that the fake Abel and a yellow-green haired man looked at Subaru's group. Either way, Subaru praises Al for the follow-up, and Al said he will pat himself on the back. Subaru deep down thinks it's a blessing that Abel didn't come, or else it would have been extremely weird. Subaru thinks about Abel. The position of the Emperor is weak, and Abel takes many precautions to guard himself. For example, he blinks with one eye at a time. Therefore, for him to appear with 3 guards, it would imply that they would have to be very strong to defend Abel. Al asks about whether or not attacking the guards would be a good idea, so they could sort of gauge their strength. However, Subaru declines. Al didn't actually mind being rejected, and Al's suggestion actually helped with Subaru to think calmly. His next goal should be to get out of this situation. We see that during this, Al is still holding Medium's mouth and she's making noise. Al lets go and Medium states that that was very rough as she breathes in. Al states that he didn't grab Medium's cheeks because they were soft. And then Medium states that if he keeps talking like that, he'll get accused of sexual harassment. Medium comes to realize that the Abel that's present isn't the one they know, as we are aware that the real Abel is back at the inn downtown. The group are then interrupted by the demi-human escorting them, the dear-looking girl. It seemed that Yorna had arrived. We see that Yorna is a tall woman who has white hair with orange tips, and her hair is decorated with animal bones. She's wearing a bright kimono with a flower pattern on it. We see that she also has fox ears and 9 tails. With that, she sat down and was given a smoking pipe, and she proceeded to look at the guests. She is however called by the fake Abel. He has the exact same voice as Abel does, and Yorna's blue eyes lock onto him. Yorna and the fake Abel stare at each other. Yorna is surprised that Vincent had arrived, considering Yorna had invited him along several times and he never showed up. The fake Abel shows displeasure and crosses his arms. The fake Abel talks about these invitations involving soldiers being raised to be used against him. Subaru wonders with Al whether or not Yorna likes Vincent, because it seems that she's a bit of a tsundere. The man who was guarding Abel, the man with yellow and green hair, then introduced himself. We see that he's called Kahuma. Again, wait on a proper translation for his name. We see that he's not really happy with Yorna's conduct, especially with having Subaru's group present with them when the Emperor is present. Even though Yorna owns the castle, it's still the Empire's territory. Subaru states that they can leave if they want, but Yorna states that she's busy and doesn't know when she'll next be available. However, this talk is interrupted when the fake Abel is asking what Yorna thinks she's doing. With that, the hall went silent. Yorna states that she thinks of the Emperor firstly. However, Yorna believes that the Emperor will not be pleased if she lets down her guests, gesturing to Subaru's group. With that, the fake Abel looks at Subaru's group. Subaru again tries to change the subject, saying that there are some stories which shouldn't be listened to, and again sort of wants to run away. However, Yorna is not really interested in that, because Tanza, someone I'm not sure who it is, it could be the deer girl, had informed her that a group had to arrive and was trying to convince her to turn against the Emperor, which is Vincent, and she of course suspects that Subaru is part of that group. And with that, the chapter ends. What a chapter. I do believe that there would be another chapter. I don't feel like Taipei will end the volume on that, but it looks pretty tense for Subaru. Yorna is aware that there's going to be a group trying to lure her against the Emperor, which is Vincent, and because we now have a fake Vincent there, Yorna is of course not going to believe Subaru, but I don't know how this is going to end up going. I mean, we do have Subaru who has returned by death, and we have Al who has like a fake return by death, so I think they'll get out of it of course, but I'm interested to see where it's going. Anyways, thank you for watching.